hi everybody, how are you doing? Are you guys alive? Are you good? I hope you're good. Look, they really overstated it, but let's see if I can be able to match up the overstatement. My name's Didintle, as already alluded. I run a manufacturing company called Organic Natural Skincare. A few disclaimers. I speak fast, so I'll try to be slow. Hence why I wanted the board, because though I speak fast, I can be able to write, and then you can be able to pick a few things out. Let me tell you where I met Mr. Mogobe. The year was 2019, and by that time, a network called Angel Network Botswana was still forming. It was at its very formative stages. Sorry, let me go this way. It was at its very, very formative stages. And then, now it's Botswana Digital Innovation Hub. Botswana Innovation Hub had this brilliant mind of collecting entrepreneurs and then collecting these people with deep pockets for us to come and pitch to. Unfortunately, I was the first one to pitch. And let me tell you, I cried. I wept, I literally wept, because it was my first time in front of in front of investors, and I was grilled. And they asked the proper questions. I think it was 10 of us who were pitching. Everybody else, I think the room was full of a couple of investors, and hence why they went out to form Angel Network Botswana. Now, we measured the goodness of your pitch by the number of investors who were interested in you. And I only had 4. Everybody else had 6 and 8 and 10. I had 4. I had Mr. Mogobe, who's sitting here. I had Aditya, I had Ananth, and I had Fred. And I call them the 4 musketeers. Because if it wasn't for these 4 musketeers, I don't think I would have had the verge of putting out Organic Naturals. By profession, I'm a numbers girl. I'm a finance girl. I can literally would be able to say this is working and this is not working. That is my job. I crunch numbers and I love it. Now, I was at a point of leaving the numbers sector into a manufacturing. And I don't know if Mr. Mogobe remembers, the first shape of our bar soup was embarrassing. And this is what I'm going to tell you. The price of starting is embarrassment. So be embarrassed. That's the cost of starting. Embarrassment. Our packaging was as half of, it was not even what it is right now. Neither was the shape. I was manufacturing from my other room because I had rented out a 2-bedroom house. The manufacturing team was my younger brother and I. That's what we'd do. So from this 4, fast forward to January of 2020, now starts the conversations. Now, from pitching, I didn't go exactly to get on the money, which I think that's what we want. We want the money, right? But that's not what's going to happen. So I pitched, and then they said, you are going to have a mentorship program. So from January till December of 2020, every single Tuesday, I would have to allocate 1 hour to meet each one of them. One was finance, marketing, governance, as well as operations. So every single Tuesday in the evening, I would have to go sit down and come prepared. Now, the thing about mentorship is we always think mentorship is coming to listen from the person. It's good to listen, but it's also a lot of homework of preparing what you're going to come to. Now, Organic Naturals simply value adds indigenous plants that you and I grew up eating, such as moana, morula, and moringa. We take that and we turn it into skincare products, and value added with a little bit of science, and now we export it. We are trying an AI element of this, whereby we're trying to be able to have you to assess your skin at the comfort of your home. So it's a development edge that we're trying to do right now with Organic Natural Skincare. And we have a team of 7 people, and we're exporting, as I did mention. But it wasn't always like this. We started off with simply 350 pula. We raised our first capital in when was the deal signed, Mr. Mogobe? 2021. 2020 was when the conversation started, but I think we closed it in 21, yes. Then we raised our capital in 2021. So I'm just here to basically share with you the journey from my lens as a manufacturer to an entrepreneur, and then also raising capital. Let's talk about the raising capital part. I think we're all scared of having other people beyond ourselves as people in the business. Or even we're very much fearful of thinking of other resources outside of raising capital. This is what I wanted to write. So, actually, let me just not even, how many of us are in business? Because I think I came here with the concept of all of us are in business. How many of us are in business? By the show of hands? Okay, great. Then, which means I'm speaking to the right crowd. Unfortunately, in Botswana, we don't have a lot of funding opportunities that are available. We only have, I think, like 3 tiers. Your first tier with a ceiling of 100,000 for an individual is YDF. Then from 5,000 to a couple of millions is CEDA, then from there on comes BDC. I feel that in Botswana, we usually lack the gap of whether it's seed capital or even patient funding, whereby you're able to scale from where you are to where you're starting. Now, I'm just going to share with you a couple of websites that I would want you to take down on. These are basically websites that have particularly helped us get grant funding and also be able to get the funding that we were able to scale the business out. These are 3 types of websites. And then I'm also then going to share with you organizations that are always releasing out grants that you could possibly apply for. Now, let's start with the organizations. The first one is MasterCard, the MasterCard Foundation. So basically with the MasterCard Foundation, it's all about grant funding. Now, it's all about assigning your business to sustainable development goals. And they usually have different types of funding, whether you're in agriculture, manufacturing, tech, education, whatever it is, there's usually funding for that. Then the second one is the African Development Bank. And I had the opportunity of actually sitting in a meeting with them last week. And I know that there are 2 grants that are coming. One is a manufacturing grant that is going to be released out. And then the second one is an entrepreneur grant. They have not yet shared out what sectors they're going to be in. So look out for that. And then there are 3 and 4 websites that I want you to be a friend of. The first website is www.opportunitiesforafricans.com. The second website is www.opportunitiesforyouth.com. For youth.com, sorry. So these basically are going to be your 4 sites that you're going to need. The reason why I started with this is, while you're going to go on your journey of mentorship, you're going to notice that there's going to be a gap between the realization of who you are and the resources that help you reach the realization of who you are. And I always believe that if at all anybody would have met me when I was X number of years old, I wish they could have given me this. I feel that it is the basic study Bible to starting as well as scaling out your business. So that is where I wanted to touch on in case it flies out my mind. The second thing that I also want to talk about when it comes to the importance of mentorship, beyond the resources, because now we've already covered the resources, this is where you can start with the resources part, is the networking. I very much believe that your network, you know how they say your network is your net worth? Believe it. So when Organic Natural started, I pitched, right? Then the 4 came. And then the 4 that came, I think behind the scenes, this is when the Angel Network Botswana was being formed. And then they told me, oh, hey, Didi, there's an opportunity for you to go pitch again. And this time around, you're not only going to pitch to, you're going to pitch to the same people you pitched to, but there are also going to be more. And I went ahead and pitched. And when I pitched, I had a lot of people who had raised their hands to say, hey, we're interested within this organization. What exactly can we do? And now it came to me for me to do the due diligence on the people whom I was looking at. And this is where the networking came out. I believe that in whatever organization you're in, you should always look for your strategic partners. The strategic partners who are going to help you hack it out. In my experience, part of the people that I wanted to do, I wanted somebody in distribution. I knew that if I was going to look for anybody to come and sit within the seat of a board investor or a board member of Organic Natural Skincare, they have to be a strategic partner that will help me go from one point to the other part. Mentorship is all about strategic partnership. So you will have to think, who exactly is the step between where I am and where I'm going to go? Part of my steps was a gentleman called Lerumo. He is actually the son to Mr. Ram, Choppies. So when I chose him because I knew that if at all I'm going to want to distribute, I should have a distribution partner. It's one thing to have a product. It's another thing to have a channel to where the product is going to go. So think about it for yourself. It's one thing to have an idea or a solution or whatever that you have, but it's another thing for you to get it into action. What is that missing piece? That missing piece is where your strategic partners come. And however your strategic partners come, I'll say have the conversation, the wisdom, the mind to decide what your shots are going to be. So we started our conversation with the Angel Network Botswana in 2020 with the interest of organic natural skincare. And I was a little bit stubborn. And we only got to sign the deal in October of 2021. I was stubborn and I was scared. And as much as I was like, okay, I'm willing to sell a share of organic natural skincare, I was also quite weary of how that was going to look like. What do I mean? We have board meetings. And at these board meetings, I have to say, this is how every single one pillar went. We have board meetings where I have to say, this is a strategic vision I have. It was a step up. And I think, okay, now I have to come and share my age. I think when that happened, I was 24 or 25 years old. I'm 29 right now, so there's no need to calculate. And I was quite asking myself, am I willing to be the person that this journey is going to change me to be? Which is my third point. Prepare to be changed. You are going to drastically change. My change came with missing in action. I was missing at family weddings and family funerals. I was missing at friends' weddings. That's the cost of the journey that you're about to go in. But within that cost, the trade-off was realizing who Didintle actually is. So maybe this is a question you should ask yourself. Are you ready for the trade-off? And you should be ready for how it's going to change you. And how it changes you is entirely up to you. It could either change you for the worse. I've never seen mentorship really change people for the worse, but it happens. Or it could either change you for the better, whereby you're able to stand proudly and say, this is what I get to do. And I hope that it gets to change you for the better. But in it changing you for the better comes the need for you to also do the work in yourself. What do I mean when I say the work in yourself? Read. Read. I'm not saying read a tweet. I'm not saying read something that's on social media. I'm saying pick a book and read. I'm going to share a couple of books that I greatly say, if there's anything else, this is what I believe in. And I'm not paid to say this. I wish Mr. Mogobe would have paid me. I think he should start paying me. But he didn't pay me. Mr. Mogobe's book is Nuggets of Grit, which is going to get me to this. Sorry. There's a book called Grit by a lady called Angela Duckworth. She is a professor. Grit is basically perseverance. I think that in your journey of mentorship and your journey of evolving, this is a book that you should read. If you cannot get the book, you can just go on YouTube and just look for Grit by, oh Lord, it's not happening. Okay. Grit by Angela Duckworth. Yes, it is an amazing book to start you into understanding grit. It basically goes out. I'm so obsessed with this book that I actually read it twice a year. Basically, they, they, they go to a community and they run a study. And they're basically studying how can one child in this community do better than a child in the other community, even though this child in this community has access to electricity and water and so forth. It basically gets to show you that what happens for people to become or join the 1%, it's all about your mindset and the perseverance. And as well as now I learned a new word today, the sexual transmitters of the exactly. So after you go through this, you could just go on YouTube to start with this. Then the next book that I think would be a good base after you learned about the introduction of grit is The Nuggets of Grit by Mogobe. When I read the book, I noticed that it's actually a good flow of understanding what grit is and why you need to have that grit. The second book that I greatly believe in as well, it is Atomic Habits. You might know this book. It was once Instagrammable and people were quoting it. I'm glad. Atomic Habits basically talks about a theory that I greatly believe in, which is the Kaizen theory. I have this thing where I go out and study theories when I have free time. So I studied grit. I literally did a course on it. And you can also do the same if at all you guys are obsessed. Acumen was just offering these free courses and I did that. After that, I then had this thing. I was obsessed with why are the top 1% people in the world the top 1%? Like, what makes them the top 1%, right? What makes Toyota to be Toyota? What makes, I just went into that rabbit hole of trying to figure out what makes it to be that way. And then I came across a theory called the Kaizen theory. The Kaizen theory is basically a theory that says to improve yourself 1% daily. That is what Atomic Habits is. I'll give you an example. So I like running or maybe sometimes skipping the rope. And how I usually measure it is, if today I run 5 kilometers, tomorrow am I going to run 6 kilometers or 7 kilometers? I'm not going to aim for 10. I'm not going to aim for 15. So when you're starting, don't put yourself under the ridiculous pressure of aiming for high. Aim for the 1%. Tomorrow, aim for the 1% again. You'll see that you're now at 2%. After 5 days, you're at 5%. After 10 days, you're at 10%. It's a theory I hugely believe in. Are you thinking of starting something? Okay, today start with a business model canvas. Tomorrow, read more of what the business model canvas is going to be. The next day, figure out who your strategic partners is going to be. I thoroughly believe in the 1% daily theory. It's basically saying, I'm improving my life 1% at a time. That's all it has to take. I never really put myself through the ridiculous pressure of, I mean, sometimes I do, because, type A mentalities. But I greatly believe in improving myself 1% at a day, however it looks like. Whether it's the team, whether it's our operations, whether it's me as an individual. At the end of the day, I ask myself, what is the 1% I improved myself in? And I always look for it. At the end of the day, before I go to sleep, I just think, okay, did I do this better than I did yesterday? I used to be, I can't believe I'm sharing this. I would always get at the office around my 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And this is when our office was still by Leia. We now moved warehouses to Commerce Park. And I would always hate it, because when you are a leader of something, you don't want to create a bad culture. Then the team started coming at 8:30 because the boss is coming at 8:30, so why should I come earlier, right? So I put myself to cause and I say, Didintle, in as much as maybe you sleep at 12 midnight or your day ends at 11 p.m., you still have to create this thing where people know that go tliwa tirong ka 8. Monkey see, monkey do. It started with the first one, but I said, okay, fine. I gave it like an 80 because I know that it might be hard. Let me try 20 past. Okay, let me try quarter past. Let me try 10 past. Let me try 8 o'clock. Then I was like, actually, I think I could come by earlier than that. It all started with the 1% daily. I don't think change has to be big or grand. I think change has to be simple. And in change being simple, change can be the 1% daily that you're going to put on. The last book that, okay, let me do this. I think this is James Clear. This is not a book, rather. This is a podcast that I think you should subscribe to. There is a podcast called Founders on Spotify. How can I explain it? You see the book that Mogobe was speaking about, Napoleon Hill? Basically, somebody reads the book, and this guy discusses it with you. It's an amazing podcast. And with this guy, it simply also started with, he was studying the greats. He was studying your Dysons. The guy built the first vacuum cleaner. He then went ahead and studied your Steve Jobs and your Napoleon Hills. I think it is, if there's a podcast that I swear by, if there's a podcast that I've listened to, it's Founders. Founders gets you to, I mean, we all want to read these autobiographies of these greatest entrepreneurs, but we don't have the time, or sometimes the resources. Founders basically gets to tune it for you. It gets to help you read these autobiographies and understand what actually made this guy who he is. It's still for me that obsession that I had of studying the top 1%, because I was like, I actually also want to be one. But it was within that journey that got to shift within that perspective. Now, this is what I had come here to share. And maybe perhaps I can shed the light onto me, which is something I thoroughly hate, and tell you a little bit about my journey of entrepreneurship. I had acne. And I was always an early bloomer. Okay, 16 years old, I was at university. 20 years old, I had graduated. I was about to start my new job. So as an early bloomer, age-wise, I was also an early bloomer body-wise. So acne had started showing at the age of 9 years old. People bullied me because I went to a private school. And by the age of 12, I had already taken the acne pills. And I was tired. I was honestly tired. 16 years old, on a semester break, my grandmother is home. May her soul rest in peace. Onale mama and mama murula oil. And that is how I came to know that there's something such as murula oil. I applied it, it assisted with my acne. I went back to rest. The ladies were asking me Udirisang, and I was like, I'm not going to tell you because you're bullying me, you're going to buy it. And then I started selling it. That is how Organic Naturals was born. To be quite, it was as simple as that. I go to a friend who's a designer and I tell her, I'm selling this thing, but I don't have a name for it. Can you please help me create a logo? And the lady says, what are you going to call it? And I was like, it's something organic, it's something natural and it's for skincare, organic natural skincare. Literally. $350 from my allowance, and I put it at Organic Naturals. This was 2016. 2018, I graduated from university. I got a job in Maung. And then I noticed that Maung has this thing of high teenage girls, and Maung has a lot of moringa. So I asked them, if you give me moringa, I will pay you. And they started giving me moringa, and I started paying them. And I thought, now I have moringa, what am I going to do with the moringa? And then the rabbit hole started. I did say I was a finance girl. I decided that I wanted to do my CFA, so I had the opportunity of going to Kenya. I did that when I was in Kenya, but I also felt, I think I have free time. What else can I do? And then this is when I learned how to formulate skincare. It literally was nothing grand. It was me saying, I have time, I'm in a different country, what can I do? Before it was, I have acne, my grandmother bought something, what else can I do? Always ask yourself, what else can you do? I have seen that question of what else can I do has shifted my perspective. Today we indirectly work with 2,100 women who every single season, I kid you not, Batlisa Murula, Moana, and then we buy it from them. We take that, we go press it out, and then we make skincare products. On a daily basis, I think the gentleman behind once came to our warehouse, and it was quite a mess. So on a daily basis, you'll see the warehouse being quite a mess. Either we're producing a bar soap that is going to a shop, it's going to the Delta, it's being... But I've seen, when you come to think about it, it all started with, what can I do? If there's anything that you take away from me talking a lot today, is what can you do? Whatever that you can do, apply yourself to it. And apply yourself thoroughly to it. And in applying yourself thoroughly to it, I also hope that you have the audacity to go towards it. Because at the end of the day, always more audacity. Always and always more audacity. Today I have 3 things that guide me, which is people, planet, and impact. If it's not solving a problem for the people, I'm not doing it. If it's not making the planet a better place, I'm not doing it. If it doesn't leave impact, I'm not doing it. Those are my 3, okay, they're not 3 P's because there's an I. But that's my guiding plan. It should be for the people, to make the planet a better place, and to leave impact. I hope you can borrow within these and apply them in your life. For the people, for the planet, and for the impact. Thank you so much.